As promised, I'm back. I mentioned a court upholding an eminent domain out of Mount Laurel in a decision highlighting the value of open space in the nation's most densely populated state. The New Jersey Supreme Court ruled yesterday that Mount Laurel acted properly when it seized the developer's land to preserve open space. We recognize that the citizens of New Jersey have expressed a strong and sustained public interest in the acquisition and preservation of open space, the state's highest court said in the 6-1 decision. Jeff Titel, director of the New Jersey chapter of the Sierra Club, called the court's action an important victory for people and municipalities concerned about the impact of sprawl on the dwindling amount of underdeveloped land in the state. In the race for open space, New Jersey just picked up a lot of speed, said Titel. The case has been closely watched in the wake of last year's U.S. Supreme Court decision, giving wider authority to local governments to use eminent domain powers to seize private property for economic revitalization, not just for more traditional reasons such as building highways and government buildings. The ruling triggered controversy and fears of cronyism, fears that elected officials could simply condemn private property as a developer could build condos or undertake some other lucrative project that could be touted as economic development. Such concerns led more than 20 states, including Pennsylvania, to curb or prohibit the use of eminent domain for economic development. In May, Governor Rendell signed legislation that generally prohibits the use of eminent domain for private development. Yesterday's ruling came in a court battle over a 16.3-acre parcel owned by Me Pro Homes, LLC, which had obtained approval from the Mount Laurel Planning Board to build 23 homes on that site. A previous owner of the land had intended to build an assisted living facility there, but MyPro bought the land and opted to build houses. The township then tried to buy the land. When MyPro refused, officials opted to use eminent domain to acquire the property. Jeffrey Byrons, who represents MyPro, said he has urged his client to ask the U.S. Supreme Court to hear an appeal of the ruling. Barron said the decision gave unfettered power to municipalities to halt development. Any municipality in New Jersey now can take any property that would be potentially for development, he said, even after a developer has gotten their approvals. Well, you know what? And they also go on to try to entice and recruit the private home sector, the ones that are already built. And I got to say, I got an opinion on this as well. It's the little guy that needs protecting from the government. That's what the true issue with the New Jersey eminent domain abuse cases are all about. Thursday, the New Jersey Supreme Court ruled it was okay for Mount Laurel to use eminent domain against a for-profit developer. The developer had obtained approvals to build 23 homes on 16 acres of land. The Builders League would like to frighten the private property owners to action on behalf of builders and developers, while all along they have been threatening these people as well. I am a property owner fighting eminent domain in a development called Broadway Arts Center in Long Branch. I see it differently and cannot agree with the Builders League. For one, the builder in the Mount Laurel case does not live on the 16.3 acres. He wants to make money off the open land. The municipality there wants to preserve it to ensure the public's interest in that 16 acres. The deed of the property, once transferred into the city's name, should reflect that these lands shall remain protected as open space for all to enjoy, and at no time into the future shall they ever be converted to housing or commercial use. The deed should be restricted, and the courts should mandate that. The Schneider administration here at home in Long Branch was confronted a number of years ago in regard to a parcel of preserved natural habitat land called the Ranch. The city balked at preserving it as open space, while all the citizens of Long Branch requested it. Schneider could have used his powers of eminent domain in that matter, but he refused to. However, in populated beachfront homes, he cut down the tax-paying multi-generational families with no thought whatsoever and many misleading remarks through the approval process in the 90s. The Long Branch use of eminent domain is actually an abuse of eminent domain. Less than 10% of the state of New Jersey agrees with the Schneider use of eminent domain against perfectly good properties that are in great condition and occupied, many for 40-plus years. Presently, there are 30-some odd single-family homes in the Metoxa area that the Schneider plan wants to demolish and replace with close to 200 luxury condominiums. This after already adding over 500 new townhouses and high-end apartments in the same area. It seems a little peculiar to me that eminent domain on one end is okay to apply to preserve open space and thwart off high-density sprawl, while on the other hand, it is just as valid to remove 30 homes to replace them with 200. This oxymoron in and of itself should have the legislature realizing that the application of eminent domain for development purposes is not what the founding fathers intended. New Jersey needs to roll the clock back and only permit the use of eminent domain for roads, bridges, preservation, and real public use in operated projects. As for the developer who lost in the Mount Laurel case, they will locate another project and build and make a profit. As for the elderly citizens of Metoxa and myself on Lower Broadway, the chances of us replacing what may be taken by the Schneider eminent domain plans with the paltry offers we are made is slim. Let's not forget Bruce McLeod, whose 17-room Victorian home was seized in 2002 for $140,000, the city's appraisal. He protested the amount and got an appraisal of his own for $630,000. Yet he is homeless, and his compensation trial keeps getting postponed. If the New Jersey legislature does not protect the little people in the state, then the little people should vote them out of office next November, when every Assembly and Senate seat is up for grabs. As for Mr. Schneider, I think it's time for him to retire, even if he needs to be recalled to motivate that decision. That's my opine. I'll take all the blame and credit for that. Also interesting to note, even if Bruce McLeod gets $630,000 by a jury of his peers, his lawyer will get $160,000 of that money.